We're now joined by Lead MLS Analyst on Apple TV, Taylor Twellman, and St. Louis native. Taylor, thanks for joining us today. Let's just start by talking about this matchup. You're on the call on Sunday night, LA Galaxy and City SC. What are you looking forward to most of that matchup in Southern California?
It's an interesting time, to say the least. When you look at the LA Galaxy, as they are defending champions in MLS, and yet they've lost their first three competitive games of 2025. They're without Ricky Pooch. They're without Joseph Paintsil. So it becomes a little interesting on what they look like. St. Louis, on the other hand, it hasn't been the prettiest, but it's been effective. They're very difficult to play against. Olaf Melberg's done a real good job of making sure that they don't give up a ton of chances. They've done that. But I would say right now they've got to be a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, they've had two completely different games, City SC did. They dominate the first game, it's still 0-0. They don't necessarily dominate the second game, it's still 0-0. They have yet to score, but yet to give up a goal there. What have you seen from City in two games in the Olaf Melberg era?
He wanted to fix two things, and he picked the defensive side of things, I think, first and foremost. He went after the foundation. They're very difficult to play against. No surprise, he was a very good defender in his day at the international level and at the club level. And so that's what he knows best, and that's what he's done. Now, in saying that, this is a team that went out last summer and spent some money and brought in some players that are on the attacking side of things, and they haven't done much. And so that's going to be very interesting to me whether or not they can turn the corner, whether or not they can be more dynamic. Because when you talk to the opposing coaches that are preparing for St. Louis City, they feel like they're going to be on the front foot the whole time because St. Louis just wants to defend. LA Galaxy are going to travel over 3,300 miles after their game Wednesday night. So how did they recover? They're going to be tired. They're going to be depleted. Yes, you're on the road, but on the other hand, you could probably take it to a team and be a little bit more aggressive. They were timid against San Diego. We'll find out Sunday night if they're not.
No goals against, no goals for City SC. What would you like to see more from this squad moving forward if they're going to win some games?
They've got to go for it. I've lived my life. Scared money doesn't make money. And so at some point, you got to go for it. And so eventually, I think Olaf Melberg has to roll the dice a little bit and allow the team to be a little bit more expansive. If they're going to try to tie every game and do it this way, then playoffs is going to be very difficult. And so they've got to at some point go for it. Is that in the third game of the year? I don't know that answer. Is it in the 10th game of the year? It has to be. So I think there's a little bit more wiggle room for this team to grow into themselves.
When you talk about going for it, are you looking more at those front guys and Betcher and Hartl and Teuscher and Klaus and maybe putting more on the front foot?
Yeah, naturally you would just want your attacking players to be free. But right now the attacking players, alongside with everyone else, is worried about defending and worried about their defensive shape. And so naturally, when you don't score goals, everyone looks at the attacking players. I would say this now to this camera and everyone else and anyone else listening is that it is a collective thing because the style of play isn't really there yet. And the philosophy isn't there yet for the attacking players to flourish. Could Simon Betcher have one or two goals from the first game against Colorado? Sure. The second game, nobody even crossed half field barely. So it's more of a style of play and a collective issue at the moment. But then when you start creating chances and nobody's scoring, I mean, keep in mind, Klaus only has 5 goals in his last 32 appearances. So when it's all said and done, yes, the attacking players have to deliver.
All right, and I can't let you go without talking about the league as a whole. I love talking about the league as a whole with you because a lot of times we just talk City or who they're playing as they enter the 30th year. It was San Diego and City SC, two expansions teams playing last week. As you look at the league right now as they just start this year, what are you most looking forward to early on in this MLS season?
I think Inter Miami, if they stay healthy, could set a new record. They could actually beat their record. What I saw against Houston last weekend was unlike anything I've seen, and that was without Lionel Messi. And this team is really, really good. Without Messi in the last, 15 games they've played without him, they've won 12 of those if you go back to last year. So there's a real mentality there to deliver. I think the LA Galaxy, I said this before the season started, may struggle to make the playoffs. They just have a lot of work to do in trying to defend their title. They're struggling with injuries already. and LAFC look like a team that's really motivated because their bitter rivals won it last year. They haven't given up a goal from the run of play in the last 4 competitive games. There's a lot of storylines in this league. You can watch it every week on Apple TV. But St. Louis City is one of the more intriguing ones because after what happened in year 1 versus the debacle that happened in year 2, pressure's on this team in the front office to deliver.
All right, Taylor Twellman, looking forward to hearing you on the call on Sunday night, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, buddy.